Welcome to our channel. Today, we're diving deep into a story rarely told. The real origin of Black people and the astonishing truths hidden behind Africa's ancient past. Beyond slavery, colonialism, and modern stereotypes lies a powerful history of advanced civilizations, science, and cultural brilliance. From forgotten empires to genetic revelations, we'll uncover what textbooks and mainstream media often leave out. Get ready to challenge everything you thought you knew about Africa and discover the true legacy of Black people worldwide. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell for eye-opening content. Let's reveal the secrets they never told you. For centuries, the story of Black people in Africa has often been framed around slavery, colonial exploitation, and poverty. These narratives, while true parts of history, are only fragments of a much grander story. The real origin of Black people is an epic saga stretching back hundreds of thousands of years, a tale of innovation, civilization, spirituality, and resilience. In this essay, we'll explore what many history books never fully tell: the powerful, complex, and astonishing true origins of Black people and the remarkable legacy of Africa. 1. The Cradle of Humanity. The story begins in Africa because, quite simply, that's where humanity itself began. Early human origins. Modern humans, Homo sapiens, originated in Africa approximately 200,000 to 300,000 years ago. Fossil evidence from places like Jebel Irhoud in Morocco and Omo Kaibish in Ethiopia shows anatomically modern human features appearing there long before anywhere else. Genetic studies, including mitochondrial DNA tracing, confirm that all humans on Earth share African ancestors. This genetic link, often referred to as mitochondrial Eve, is not a single woman, but a genetic marker indicating our deepest shared roots in Africa. What they never told you. School textbooks rarely emphasize that Africa isn't just where Black people come from. It's where all people come from. We are all children of the continent, regardless of race or nationality. 2. The Great Migration. Roughly 60,000 to 70,000 years ago, small groups of humans began leaving Africa, spreading into Asia, Europe, Australia, and eventually the Americas. This migration explains why Black Africans retain the most genetic diversity on Earth. The populations that left were just a subset of the African genetic pool. Skin color, often used as a racial marker, evolved as humans adapted to different sunlight levels. Dark skin protects against UV damage, while lighter skin helps produce vitamin D in low sun regions. Thus, skin color is a geographical adaptation, not a fundamental difference. What they never told you. Race is a social construct. Biological differences between human populations are minor. The concept of race, as we know it today, developed later, tied to colonialism and slavery, rather than ancient science or fact. 3. Ancient African civilizations. Africa is often wrongly portrayed as having no history before European contact. In truth, Africa birthed powerful kingdoms, sophisticated urban centers, and monumental architecture. Nubia and Kush. Long before Egypt's grandeur, Nubia, located in modern-day Sudan, flourished along the Nile. The kingdom of Kush became so powerful that its rulers once conquered Egypt, forming the 25th dynasty, known as the Black Pharaohs. The pyramids at Meroe in Sudan outnumber those in Egypt. Ancient Egypt. While the racial identity of ancient Egyptians remains a complex topic, there's no question that North Africa was African in culture, language, and population. Egypt's art depicts diverse African people, and its influence stretched deep into sub-Saharan Africa. Great Zimbabwe. Between the 11th and 15th centuries, the Shona people built Great Zimbabwe, a massive stone city with towering walls and royal complexes. This city was a center for trade in gold and ivory and connected Africa to global commerce via the Indian Ocean. Mali Empire. Under Mansa Musa, circa 1280 to 1337, the Mali Empire became one of the richest kingdoms in the world. Mansa Musa's pilgrimage to Mecca in 1324 famously destabilized gold markets due to the vast wealth he distributed along his route. The city of Timbuktu became a beacon of Islamic learning, housing manuscripts on mathematics, astronomy, medicine, and law. Benin Kingdom. The Kingdom of Benin in modern-day Nigeria was renowned for its advanced art, governance, and urban planning. The Benin bronzes, elaborate sculptures cast in brass and ivory, demonstrate extraordinary artistic and metallurgical skill. What they never told you: Africa was not isolated, primitive, or stagnant before European arrival. It was a vibrant continent with kingdoms, commerce, universities, and advanced technology. For Africa and global trade. African civilizations were part of extensive trade networks. Gold and salt routes across the Sahara connected West Africa with North Africa and Europe. The Swahili coast engaged in trade with Arabia, India, and China. African merchants exchanged ivory, spices, textiles, and even knowledge. Historical records from Arab, Chinese, and European travelers document Africa's wealth and urban sophistication. For example, the 14th century traveler Ibn Battuta described Mali as a place of great justice and prosperity. What they never told you: Africa was a global player, not an isolated continent awaiting discovery. African economies contributed significantly to world trade and cultural exchanges. 5. The impact of slavery and colonialism. Despite this rich history, the transatlantic slave trade and European colonialism profoundly disrupted African societies. Slave trade. Between the 16th and 19th centuries, an estimated 12 to 15 million Africans were forcibly taken to the Americas. This horrific system was driven by European demand for labor and justified by racist ideologies. Slavery stripped people of languages, cultures, and connections to their homelands. Yet even amid oppression, African traditions survived, manifesting in music, dance, religion, and food across the African diaspora. Colonialism. The 19th century's scramble for Africa saw European powers carve the continent into colonies. Colonial rulers imposed artificial borders, exploited resources, and suppressed indigenous systems of governance and education. Still, African resistance was fierce, from the Ashanti Wars in West Africa to the Maji-Maji Rebellion in East Africa. Independence movements gained momentum in the 20th century, leading to a wave of liberation. What they never told you: Africa's story doesn't begin or end with slavery or colonialism. While these events were devastating, they are chapters in a longer narrative of resilience and cultural survival. 6. African knowledge and science. Contrary to stereotypes, African civilizations contributed to human knowledge in profound ways. Mathematics and astronomy. Ancient Egyptians developed geometry to measure Nile floods and construct pyramids. The Dogon people of Mali possessed advanced knowledge of Sirius B, an invisible star only confirmed by Western astronomers in the 20th century. Medicine. Egyptian medical texts, like the Ebers Papyrus, detail treatments for diseases, surgeries, and herbal remedies. African herbalism informed modern medicine. Quinine, used to treat malaria, originates from African plants. Metallurgy. Nok culture in Nigeria mastered ironworking as early as 1000 BCE. Benin artisans cast complex brass sculptures long before European foundries reached similar techniques. What they never told you: Africa was not merely a recipient of knowledge from outside. It was a source of innovation, scientific discovery, and intellectual exchange. 7. Spirituality and culture. African spirituality is rich and diverse. Long before Abrahamic religions arrived, Africans worshipped ancestors, nature spirits, and supreme deities. These belief systems emphasized harmony, balance, and community. Even with the spread of Islam and Christianity, African traditions adapted. Syncretic religions like Vodou, Haiti, Candomblé, Brazil, and Santeria, Cuba, preserved African spirituality within new faith frameworks. Music, storytelling, dance, and visual arts remain essential in African culture. Drumming patterns carry history, wisdom, and spiritual meaning. Griots, oral historians, keep genealogies and cultural knowledge alive. What they never told you. African culture is not primitive superstition. It is an intricate system of philosophy, ethics, and art that has deeply shaped global culture. The modern legacy of Black people and Africa, the unfolding power of the motherland. In today's globalized world, where stories travel fast and information is at our fingertips, one truth still remains largely underappreciated. The modern legacy of Black people in Africa is not just about survival. It is about brilliance, reinvention, and profound global influence. Despite centuries of colonization, enslavement, cultural erasure, and systemic oppression, the descendants of Africa continue to shape the modern world through innovation, art, science, political thought, and cultural leadership. This legacy is not confined to the African continent. From Lagos to London, Accra to Atlanta, the legacy of Black people is alive, evolving, and asserting itself as a central force in shaping the 21st century. In this essay, we will explore the many layers of this legacy, shedding light on what mainstream narratives often overlook. 1. The global African identity. The modern legacy of Black people is inherently global. The African diaspora, spread across North and South America, the Caribbean, Europe, and the Middle East, carries with it the traditions, languages, and spiritual frameworks that originated on the continent. The resilience of identity. Despite being uprooted, enslaved, and forced into new lands, Africans retained a deep sense of identity. Enslaved Africans in the Americas preserved music, oral traditions, and belief systems that still resonate today. Whether through Yoruba-influenced religions like Santeria or in the spirituals that gave birth to gospel, Black identity was never erased. It was adapted and reasserted. In modern times, this sense of identity has led to a global movement of cultural reconnection. The Back to Africa movement, Pan-Africanism, and Afrocentric philosophies all reflect an enduring effort to reclaim heritage and dignity. 2. Political and intellectual power. Throughout the 20th and 21st centuries, African and Black leaders around the world have contributed powerful ideas that have reshaped political landscapes, not only for Black people, but for global justice movements. African liberation and independence. The decolonization of Africa in the mid-1900s saw the emergence of iconic leaders like Kwame Nkrumah, Ghana, Patrice Lumumba, Congo, Julius Nyerere, Tanzania, and Nelson Mandela, South Africa. These figures championed sovereignty, Pan-African unity, and self-determination. Their influence continues today. The African Union (AU), founded in 2002, builds on decades of liberation struggles and is working to establish a more united, economically integrated, and diplomatically independent continent. Global Black intellectualism. In the Americas and Europe, Black thinkers have shaped intellectual discourse. W.E.B. Du Bois introduced the concept of double consciousness and fought for civil rights and Pan-African solidarity. Frantz Fanon, a psychiatrist and revolutionary from Martinique, provided deep insight into colonial psychology and resistance in The Wretched of the Earth. Angela Davis, James Baldwin, Bell Hooks, and Cornel West have confronted race, power, and justice in ways that resonate globally. These voices helped inspire global human rights movements, feminist theory, critical race theory, and anti-colonial philosophies. Legacy. The modern political legacy of Black people is one of liberation, intellectual resistance, and global coalition building. 3. Cultural dominance and influence. From the streets of Kinshasa to the clubs of New York, Black culture has not only survived, it has defined the modern era. Music. African rhythms lie at the heart of global popular music. Genres like blues, jazz, reggae, funk, soul, hip-hop, R&B, dancehall, amapiano, and Afrobeats all trace their roots to Black creativity. Hip-hop, born in the Bronx in the 1970s, has become a multi-billion-dollar global phenomenon and a voice for youth around the world. Afrobeats, led by artists like Burna Boy, Wizkid, and Tems, is now dominating global music charts and recentering Africa as a cultural powerhouse. Gospel, rooted in the spirituals of enslaved Africans, continues to inspire people across racial and religious lines. Film and media. Black filmmakers are telling their own stories and winning global acclaim. Nollywood, Nigeria's booming film industry, is the second largest in the world by volume. Directors like Ryan Coogler, Black Panther, Ava DuVernay, Selma, and Jordan Peele, Get Out, have brought complex Black narratives to the mainstream. Documentaries such as 13th, When They See Us, and I Am Not Your Negro challenge viewers to confront historical injustice. Streaming platforms have allowed African content like Queen Sono, Blood and Water, and Anikulapo to reach global audiences. Fashion and style. African fabrics, hairstyles, and patterns have exploded onto global runways. Kent cloth, Ankara prints, cornrows, locks, and natural hair movements challenge Eurocentric beauty norms and express pride in Black identity. Designers like Kenneth Ives, Oswald Boateng, and Lisa Followill are reclaiming fashion narratives rooted in African culture. Legacy. Black culture isn't just influencing the world, it's defining it. Through art, style, and sound, Black people continue to set trends and shift paradigms. 4. Science, technology, and innovation. Although often underrepresented in STEM fields due to systemic barriers, Black people are making powerful contributions in science, medicine, engineering, and tech innovation. African tech boom. Africa is rapidly becoming a digital innovation hub. Nigeria, Kenya, South Africa, and Egypt lead the way in mobile banking, app development, and e-commerce. The rise of Silicon Savannah in Nairobi and Yabacon Valley in Lagos showcases a tech-driven generation addressing African challenges with African solutions. Startups like Flutterwave and Andila have attracted millions in global investment. Diaspora scientists and innovators. Black scientists and inventors have shaped the modern world. George Washington Carver developed hundreds of uses for peanuts, revolutionizing agricultural science. Dr. Shirley Jackson's work in physics paved the way for caller ID and fiber optic cables. Dr. Kizzmekia Corbett, a Black American immunologist, played a key role in developing the Moderna COVID-19 vaccine. In Africa, young innovators are developing drone delivery systems like Rwanda Zipline, solar-powered schools, and AI tools for agriculture and education. Legacy. The myth that Africa or Black communities lack innovation is shattered daily by the work of brilliant, modern minds. 5. Spiritual and philosophical influence. While many associate Africa with traditional religions or syncretic beliefs, modern Black spirituality is deeply diverse and influential. Reclaiming ancient beliefs. There is a growing movement to reconnect with indigenous African spiritual systems. Yoruba, Vodun, and Kemetic traditions are being revived and practiced by young people seeking cultural roots. Spiritual leaders and scholars are helping reinterpret these systems with modern understanding, aligning them with healing, community, and environmental stewardship. Christianity and Islam. Black Christians and Muslims are also deeply shaping global religion. Africa has some of the fastest growing Christian populations in the world. African theologians are influencing global doctrine and missionary work, shifting Christianity's center of gravity southward. African Muslims contribute deeply to Islamic scholarship, especially in West African traditions of Sufism, Quranic education, and peacekeeping. Afro-spiritual syncretism. In the diaspora, spirituality evolved into unique expressions like Vodou, Haiti; Santeria, Cuba; Candomblé, Brazil; Black church traditions, U.S. These systems mix ancestral reverence, resistance theology, and cultural pride into frameworks that empower people today. Legacy. The spiritual legacy of Black people is one of adaptability, sacred resistance, and a quest for wholeness across centuries. 6. Business and economic impact. Black entrepreneurs and investors are increasingly leading economic transformations both in Africa and globally. African Renaissance in business. Africa is home to a growing middle class and a young urban population, creating massive market opportunities. Entrepreneurs like Strive Masiyiwa Econet, Aliko Dangote Dangote Group, and Mo Ibrahim Telecoms and Governance are redefining wealth and responsibility. Diaspora power. Black-owned businesses are thriving in fashion, beauty, media, and food industries. Movements like Buy Black and Afrotech encourage reinvestment into Black communities and innovation hubs. Rihanna, Fendi, Jay-Z, Roc Nation, and Oprah Winfrey have built empires that combine artistry, philanthropy, and economic power. Legacy. Black economic power is rising, and with it, a growing push for self-sufficiency, equity, and intercontinental investment. 7. Activism and social justice. The legacy of resistance and justice continues in the modern era through global movements demanding dignity and equality. Black Lives Matter. Founded by 3 Black women in 2013, Black Lives Matter became a global force after the murder of George Floyd in 2020. The movement called for police accountability, criminal justice reform, racial equity, global solidarity. BLM sparked protests in over 60 countries and inspired activism far beyond race issues, including gender rights, indigenous land rights, and climate justice. African youth movements. In Africa, new waves of protest are reshaping civil society. #EndSARS in Nigeria demanded an end to police brutality. Fees must fall in South Africa advocated for affordable education. Environmental and feminist activists are rising, such as Uganda's Vanessa Nakate and Kenya's Wanjira Maathai. Legacy. The modern legacy of Black people is a call to justice and freedom for themselves and for all oppressed people. A living legacy. The modern legacy of Black people in Africa is not something of the past. It is alive, evolving, and surging into every sphere of global life. It's a story of strength born in adversity, culture that endures and transforms, and brilliance that breaks every boundary. This legacy is not monolithic. It includes a farmer in Ghana using AI to grow better crops, the poet in Jamaica rewriting colonial narratives, the activist in Chicago fighting for justice, and the coder in Nairobi building the next great app. What they never told you is this: the future is not being built despite Black people or Africa. It's being built with them, because of them. And as the world awakens to these truths, the real challenge is no longer about recognition. It's about respect, investment, and liberation. Thanks for joining us on this incredible journey into the real origin of Black people and the hidden truths about Africa's past. History is so much deeper and richer than we've been taught, and it's time these stories are heard. If this video opened your eyes or sparked your curiosity, please give it a thumbs up, share it with others, and drop your thoughts in the comments below. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you never miss our next deep dive into untold history and powerful truths. Together, let's keep exploring what they never told you.